Good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of the award-winning second season of Raising the NSBAR. I'm Jeff Lasky, the CEO of this great organization, the North Shore-Barrington Association of Realtors. I hope you are continuing to stay safe and healthy. I'm so excited today because we have two people who have received one of the great honors that the National Association of Realtors can bestow upon people. And guess what? They happen to both be members of ours. And so members of NSBAR. So here they are. I'm going to ask you both to do a quick intro of yourselves. So we'll start with Georgia Pierini. Pierini, Georgia, tell us about where you're working right now, just a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I'm with Baird & Warner. I've been with Baird & Warner since I started in real estate in 1994, and I love it, of course. What else do you want to know besides where I work? Like everything, my children, my granddaughters.
That's a good start. No, you know, I mean, if we go into families and stuff, that's going to take up all my time.
That'll take, yeah,
So
Connie has more than more
we'll
grandchildren.
go, yeah, let's go over to Connie Conway.
Oh, so you don't want our history of involvement with the association at this point? You just
Not yet. I'll ask
Okay,
about it.
Connie Conway. I'm with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, which used to be Koenig and Stray. I've been in the business going on 47 years. I know I don't look it, but
Not at all. I look like I've been
excuse
in
me,
it
I
about
started when I was 15. And anyway,
That's good.
like Georgia, I'm a longtime North Shore resident and active realtor.
You sure are. And here's the cool part about this. Because of the long period of time that you both have served and have been participants with RPAC and have made contributions to RPAC, you both in the last 2 years have been bestowed with the honor of being RPAC Hall of Famers. And again, the only two NSBAR members that are RPAC Hall of Famers are the two ladies that we have with us today. So that's really exciting to me, and I want to talk about that just a little bit. And you both mentioned, I know how you both have been, what, 26 years, 45 years in real estate, and obviously the whole time you've both been realtors, right? Have you both been in residential real estate?
I'm a member of NSBAR with this association.
Son of a gun. Okay, good.
Yeah.
So, and Georgia, I'm going to start with you and ask, when did you first start participating, contributing to RPAC?
It was a long time ago. I do remember the first time that really stands out in my mind was an RPAC auction that was in, I'm not sure which meeting it was. It was one of the policy meetings. And I really wanted this little camera. It was the RPAC auction. And I really wanted this little camera because our CEO at the time had one, and I had kind of used it and loved it. And so I thought, well, doggone it, I'm going to win it in the auction. And so I had my paddle in my hand, and I was, but it got up to, pretty expensive. And I said, okay, I can't do it anymore. So the spotter for the auction came over to me and kept trying to get me to bid. And finally, he came over the last time, and I threw my arms in the air, and I said, stop, I'm not. And he says, sold. And with that, I paid $2,500 for this little $500 camera. And it was like, and everybody's cheering and clapping, and I'm thinking, I'm never going to get out of this one, so I might as well just smile and write a check. And I did. So
Welcome to RPAC.
That wasn't the very first one. That one increased my level. That one took me from, I don't know what's below the crystal, but it took me to a crystal R, and then I've had to, or haven't had to, but I have continued that.
Well,
but
we're going to dive into that. We're going to dive into that in a second.
Oh, sorry.
While you continue. No, but I want to get Connie in here too. Do you remember when you first?
Yes, it was back in the 80s, and I started with, I was not a major investor. They didn't even call them that in those days.
Right.
They had things like Capital Club and RPAC Circle, or, they had different names for the different levels. But my first big RPAC auction, I remember, which was still in the 80s. It was back in the days, you may remember, when Coors beer was hardly sold outside the state of Colorado. You couldn't buy it in the state of Illinois. But somebody had donated a case of Coors beer, 24 cans. And I ended up bidding like $1,300 for a case of beer. And that was my first big RPAC auction purchase. But I have had many since then. And I continue, continue to participate in all the raffles and auctions, and then when our dues billing comes, there's that payment, and it adds up.
Sure.
But it's well worth it. And I'm glad that they call it an investment now rather than a donation, because that's what it really is.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel good about that.
Yeah. Now that case of beer that you bought for $1,300, like, did you show up at home one night and the kids were drinking it or something, or how did
No, I think I ended up giving it away.
And Georgia, you had mentioned earlier, you were starting to talk about why you continued to contribute. So let's talk about that for a second with both of you, because, and Connie, you touched on it about how you felt it was important to do so, that you feel like it being a contribution rather than a donation is a better way to describe it. So
An investment.
I'm sorry. Yeah, because that's what it is, right? It's an investment. So let's talk about that first, and I'll start with you, Georgia. Why did you continue to invest?
Well, I was the first time I went to Capitol Conference was probably, it was at that time that I experienced, I guess is a better word, what it means to have some say in what our government is doing and the policies that are made. I had never been, until I joined NSBAR and the realtor community, I'd never really been involved in politics or government or anything like that, and I didn't really know too much about it. But the Capitol Conference is a real eye-opener, because it was almost, I remember going up and sitting in the gallery and looking down and listening to the discussion that was had about various ordinances or laws that were coming up. And I thought, wow, this is impressive. And this is where it all begins. It's where it all happens that funnels down to the person on the street and the laws that we have to follow. And it's pretty cool that we as realtors have something, we have a voice. And that's what RPAC provides, is it guarantees us that we're going to have a voice to make our position known. Because unlike what a lot of people think, realtors are not, for the most part, in this business, in this industry, just for that commission check. Right. We are here to help people find a home. That's the most important thing. It's where they live. And that's important to us. And to protect their rights to have that home and their property rights, and to what used to be called, I don't know that it's there anymore, quiet use and enjoyment. I think that's important, that our clients, our customers, our clients, whatever you want to, however you refer to them, they count on us. And a lot of people don't know what we do. They think that we're just sitting there waiting on a commission check and we'll sell them anything. That's not the case. Mm-hmm. That's not the case. We're involved, we care, and we want to have a say-so and let those legislators know what the consumer needs. Wow. And I think that's the real basis of RPAC, is to get to that point.
Love it, love it. That's beautifully stated. I'm going to talk about Capitol Conference in a second, but I want to go to you, Connie, first and ask you, you've continued to invest all these years, obviously, as well. Maybe you can talk to us a bit about why you decided to do that.
Well, it all began. I was very fortunate to have mentors, the likes of people that you may or may not remember: Phil Leakley, Ruth Thiel, people who I tagged along with and literally learned from, not only at Capitol Conference, but Hill visits in Washington, D.C. And getting to know the legislators on a personal basis, so that when I saw them at subsequent fundraising, they didn't have to look at my name badge. They knew who I was, and they knew I was a realtor. And I went to a lot of fundraisers until one paid lobbyist, who shall remain unnamed, came to me one day and said, "I think you go to more fundraisers than I do," meaning he was paid to do it. So anyway, there were a couple of issues that really hit my hot button over the years, such as local real estate transfer taxes and the capital gains exclusion for the sale of personal residence, eminent domain issues. And so the more I could talk to legislators, both on the local and national level, about those matters, the more I delved into them, the more I learned. So I learned a lot from other realtors and from researching the issues that are important to homeowners. And I did, whenever possible, try to think like Georgia, to convert what are not just realtor issues, but homeowners issues, and to let the homeowners, to educate the homeowners about them. So it just snowballed. I just got caught up in it, and it grew like crazy.
Yeah, no, but it's fair to say, and it's sounding like you both are saying the same thing here, that while this was something that you certainly felt like this was a way of being responsible as a realtor, but that you got a lot out of this yourselves.
Yes.
From a personal as well as a career perspective, right?
Yes, and I also appreciated the fact that although I was never an RPAC trustee, that that it's bipartisan. That I visited with legislators and federal legislative people from both sides of the aisle, as they say, and we really focused on those issues important to the real estate industry and to homeowners, and to, as Georgia said, protecting property owners' rights.
Terrific. Now, I know that you both have had a long experience with participation with the association itself, and not just NSBAR, but on the state, national level, et cetera. So I'm going to ask you in a 1-minute summary. I'll start with you, Georgia, how you participated with NSBAR and other associations in the realtor world.
Well, it started out with NSBAR, and I was a member of the Contracts and Forms Committee, and the what other committee? The Professional Standards. That's one of my hot buttons. That's my major focus, is professional standards. And then from there, I was asked to run for the board of directors, which I did, and I went up through the chairs: treasurer, secretary, treasurer, president-elect, and president. That was back in 2003, 2004 that I was president. And then I was the director from NSBAR at MLS&I, which was our MLS, the precursor to MRED, I guess. And then I've been involved at the state in professional standards on business issues. I was on the task force that worked on the rewrite of the license law, the first rewrite, not this one. And oh gosh, there's so much.
That's okay. I mean, you really hit the highlights there, which was what I wanted.
The highlights, yeah.
And I apologize. When you were president back in 2003, I was in high school, so I wasn't around then.
Did you have to say that?
Yeah.
Sure you were.
Connie, how about you? What kind of experience?
Well, I'm currently a director, and I'm a director now for the third time.
Yes.
I was first a director in the 80s, and then in the earlier 80s, and then the late 80s, and then in the early 90s, I went through the chairs, became president. And In the meantime, I've served as a director of the State Association and the National Association twice for each, and chaired numerous committees and all three, state, local, national. And like Georgia, also very active in professional standards. Also, one of my focuses for many years has been pro standards.
Yeah, you just came from a mediation.
I just came from a mediation, and I did not mediate this one. I am a trained mediator, but this was one where I worked with my company in a dispute. So anyway, and I did at one time chair the state Illinois Realtors, which was then the Illinois Association of Realtors, their statewide governmental affairs group. So when it came to making speeches at the beginning of Capitol Conference, there I was with Greg St. Aubin and all those hotshots down there, and I chaired the taxation committee for the state association too. I don't know that committee even exists anymore. It's kind of a subcommittee now under governmental affairs or public policy. And at the national level, served on business issues, risk management, professional standards, multiple listing forum, and a couple of others that I can't even remember now off the top of my head. I'm not currently a director at NAR, but I am currently on a committee, public policy committee at NAR.
Well, and again, your involvement, the investing you've done in RPAC is just a part of, obviously, for both of you, a long-standing involvement with your industry and with your association. For me personally, I have such a great amount of respect for the both of you, having known you both for many, many years and what you've done for the industry. And it has been giving, but it also does come back to you. But I know that's not why you guys do it. I know you did it because you felt that you wanted to give something to the industry. I'm going to ask you, I'm going to go off realtor world for just a second here and ask you both, and it's a surprise question, so I apologize, but I'm going to ask you each, and this time I'll start with Connie. Are you filled with optimism or pessimism about our industry in 2021?
Oh, I wouldn't say I'm filled with optimism, but I am optimistic. I feel very positive about the direction that the industry is going, and part of that is because I feel good about the direction the market is going, and I know we'll pull out of this COVID economic crisis. And in the meantime, the housing market hasn't suffered as much as a lot of other businesses and industries, and I'm very thankful for that. But I think it's going to be even better and stronger. And I feel that organized real estate, the associations, have learned a lot. Their leadership have learned and done well. And we've all benefited from what they have accomplished and learned. So terrific. I feel positive.
How about you, Georgia? Optimistic or pessimistic?
I would say more optimistic than anything. I agree with Connie. The one thing that bothers me is the people that are struggling just so horribly, and homeless people. I don't know what to do about that. As an association, as an industry, I just feel like we should be doing something about it, but I don't even know where to start. But it breaks my heart to see people on the verge of having nowhere to live. So I'd like to see the industry start working on that a little bit more. I know that we all care. I just don't know what to do about it.
I'm glad you used the word care there, because I was going to mention that we have NSBAR Cares here at NSBAR, and we actually have a task force meeting coming up this week where we're going to continue to address those kind of issues and bring back to our board how best we can do our charitable, our philanthropic contributions, where best resources can be utilized, and for whether it be homeless people, whether it be food banks, etc. So thank you for bringing that up, because I think it's on the forefront of all of our minds right now, especially those of us who are fortunate enough to be getting through this, pretty well. I'm sorry, Connie, go ahead.
No, I was just thinking, related to that, to the homelessness or people about to lose their homes, when we have legislative issues that address affordable housing as well as fair housing, those are issues that I really glom onto and try to get especially involved in and try to highlight among my peers. And I do think that the industry has attempted to make inroads there and has succeeded to some extent. But the immediate need, as Georgia so rightfully indicated, for those who are really struggling right now to pay their mortgage or pay their rent, or wonder what's going to happen with next week's paycheck if they even get one. Those are issues that I'd like to see everybody address more aggressively, not just the real estate associations. But thank you, Georgia, for reminding me of that aspect of what we do.
I have to thank you both for being here today. I can't tell you how thrilled I am that we were given this opportunity to have you both on because you've been inducted into the RPAC Hall of Fame, but that's really an excuse, right? Because you've been so involved, you've done so much great stuff for not just NSBAR, but for all of the realtor world over all these years. So I want to thank you for that. I have to say I have one last question, and what I have been doing is asking the same question to all of my guests, but because we're in a new year here, 2021, I'm going to ask a new question, okay? And it's going to be multiple choice, so it's going to be easy, okay? So if you're ready.
Ready.
Here's the question. All right.
Ready.
NSBAR hired its new CEO last March. How has he done so far? And the choices are spectacular, incredible, superb, or the epitome of greatness.
All of the above.
Right?
Ditto. All of the above. Plus.
Wonderful.
Plus.
So,
Plus,
I-
plus.
Plus, plus,
I'm
plus.
hoping that goes as well with all of my guests as it went with you guys here today. And what my old question was, the restaurants, right? Supporting our local restaurants. I was asking my guests if they had a favorite restaurant locally. You guys want to throw something in there real quick? Yeah,
Walker Brothers and Hackney's.
Walker, I know. I was just going to repeat what you said.
Oh.
Egg Harbor.
Egg Harbor,
And
right?
Glen Club, the grill in the Glen Club.
Yeah, Egg Harbor. That's my son has been a server at Egg Harbor when he's home from college. He's been at Egg Harbor up in Arlington Heights. So that's a wrap. Thanks so much for joining us today, and I look forward to you joining us again soon for our next Raising the NSBAR.